McConnell and Shannon back with you, and Paul Jones of one of the voices of the Raptors joins us on the program today. All right, Jones, okay?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to see you guys. Good
Good
to
to see
see
you.
faces.
Not many games left. So
20.
yeah, each one of these becomes very important. And the Raptors have played well lately. I don't know whether they won 7 of 8 or something like that prior to the other night. And then they were in Cleveland and got zonked by the Cavaliers. And another no-show by Van Vliet. I know they just had a baby, but geez, to miss 3 games because of that, is that logical to you?
Well, I mean, it's
It
family.
is 2023, Bob.
Yeah, it's family, and it's tough to argue that.
Yeah. You don't have an
I don't
issue
know.
with that, Bob, do you?
I do.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah, I think you miss 1 game, okay, maybe 2. That's a stretch. 3, it's ridiculous. Like, how long is he going to be off for another 2 weeks because of it?
Yeah, to me, it's family.
Don't have
Family.
babies during the season.
Yeah.
I'm with you, Paul. I just,
He
the
didn't say
stories.
anything. How can you be with him?
No. He said
Didn't
it's
have any
family, and I
opinion.
think, he said it's family.
No,
That's
it's
the most
your
important
opinion.
thing. Well, my opinion is the same as Paul's, which is great.
Okay, great. So go have babies
so-
and forget basketball.
Oh, jeez. So, Paul, team learns more from a loss than a win. Like the Cleveland loss has to be. I mean, there's got to be like 16 pages of notes of what they learned.
Well, and here's the other thing too, John. Never mind what they learned. It's hard to beat a team 4 times in a season. They had a 3-0 record against them, and Cleveland's fourth. The Raptors had held Donovan Mitchell, who's 27 points a game, to 17 over the 3 wins. And it's like somebody tapped Donovan on the shoulder and said, "By the way, Donovan, you guys are scoring 111 a game against Toronto, only 100. You're a 27 point a game guy against Toronto, only 17 3 times this year. Well, what's going on? Are you going to pick it up?" And like he had 35 points over 3 quarters, didn't play in the fourth. So there was a lot at work there. I think the second night of the back-to-back, and I know people are going to say, well, wait a minute, everybody plays back-to-backs, and the first game was at noon, and then this one was at 6. To me, your body clock is thrown off with the noon game. So
Detroit,
just a lot going on.
Let's be honest. Detroit wasn't that hard a game.
No, but a win's a win, and Detroit made it tough, and maybe tougher than it should have been. That said, it's tough to beat a guy 4 times, and Cleveland was probably due to beat Toronto.
Well, Detroit has played very well against Toronto for the past couple of years, in spite of the fact that they're a crappy team. They always make it tough, and they've won a bunch of the games too, regular season games that they played. Yeah. So, I wasn't really surprised it was a close game. Nonetheless, they played like crap in Cleveland, and I think it was really evident they didn't have a point guard. They didn't have anybody to lead them. There was nobody. Van Vliet is off having his babies.
Look, they miss him. There's no question. He's one of the leaders, and he gets them set offensively, makes big plays. He's a good distributor, good decision maker. So they miss that, no question. And then, Gary Trent has a really tough night.
Well, he was horrible. He didn't have an off night. He was terrible.
Well, yeah. Well, call it what you want. He had good shots that he couldn't make, but more often than not, Gary's going to make those. He's been a guy that I think has played well for them this year and given them some good scoring. So, you know what? Sometimes you cut the guy a pass.
I'm not sure that a good night by Trent shooting would have made a difference, but nonetheless, you're right. He was off. Let's talk a bit about Poeltl. He wasn't as impactful in this game as he was elsewhere, but then again, the Raptors as a whole did not play that well against Cleveland. But Poeltl's been a fantastic addition. He just gives them so many more options, Jones.
I'm almost afraid to admit this. Maybe the producer can strike this from the record after it goes up once on the podcast, but Bobcat did have something when he said, you need a big man. and you need to play with a traditional big at times. I mean, it's kind of like listening to my dad say a cuff in your pants never goes out of style, right? And Hurdle has been great. He has. He developed in Toronto, and then as one of my buddies said, he went to the best basketball camp you could get. That's playing for Greg Popovich for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Come back. He sets good screens. He's got a knack for being around the ball on the glass. I asked him about it. He said, I just watch a trajectory, learn my teammates, kind of judge where the ball's going to go and fight for position there. He's a great passer in the screen and roll, in the short roll situations. He's got really good chemistry with Pascal and Fred. Remember, they were 905 together for a long time. So he has been terrific, and he's given them a big body to protect the rim and deter opponents down close to the basket. So he's been all advertised. I think he's fit in seamlessly, and he's going to help these last 20 games coming home.
I must admit that I don't watch the San Antonio Spurs very often, although I do really enjoy Popovich. I was actually impressed with Pirtle's size. I mean, that sounds silly to say, but he's actually grown up from the time he was in Toronto, and he's a bigger man. He's a bigger man. He's a wider man. And because I had in this vision, they're trading for the guy that was here, not the guy that's in 2023. And he's,
well, I did too. Yeah.
He's filled out. I mean, it sounds silly to say, but he's filled out. And
well, his game is filled out too, John. Not just his body, but his game is pretty complete right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't that impressed when they made the trade, because I was looking at Pirtle, the first and second year Pirtle that was here, and he wasn't much of a contributor. He was just a guy learning to play. And he has really played terrific. I have been very, very impressed with his performance so far.
Well, he had a 30-point night, and then he had a career high 18 rebounds the next game.
Right.
And even last night against Cleveland, I don't remember his numbers, but
I think he had 10.
Yeah, and like, he didn't miss too many shots. He's efficient. He doesn't take bad shots. Got to work on his free throw shooting. That's about the only thing I would say, because late in the game he could be fouled, and you got to make those free throws. But he's come back and he's been terrific. He really has. The Raptors were cobbling it together with all guys 6'8", 6'9", and it was good. And it was difficult though when you saw. I mean, they're going to see Jokic twice in the next 20 games. When you see Embiid, you see these big hulking bodies. Zubac's made it look easy against them. It's different now that you have a guy like Pirtle. So
sure,
he's going to make a difference.
How important do you think it is, Paul, that you acquire somebody that actually knows about this market, understands that you're not living in the United States anymore, and that and understands the history of the Raptors a bit more? Is that a factor at all?
I think so. I think it is, only because he's coming back to somewhere he's familiar, John. I mean, if he was being traded back to New York, that would have been an advantage if he started New York and was going back there, or Denver. But the fact that, yes, he's coming back here, and all of that stuff that you talked about, he learned the first time around. Like, you could trade for a vet and bring him into Toronto, and they'd still have to learn some of the nuances around living in Canada, being in Toronto, adjusting to it. He's already done that. And like I said, you look at all those kids that played together in 905, Pirtle, Siakam, Van Vliet, Powell, DeLon Wright. They won a championship down there, and they've developed something, and they're going to hold on to that going forward. So I think it is important, John, and I think it allowed him to hit the ground running faster than other guys that might have been traded to Toronto, or other guys that were traded at the deadline and went to new teams.